The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
On the Sabbath, Jesus went to dine at the home of one of the leading Pharisees, and the people there were observing him carefully. He told a parable to those who had been invited, noticing how they were choosing the places of honor at the table. When you are invited by someone to the wedding banquet, do not recline at the table at their place of honor. A more distinguished guest than you may have been invited by them. And the host who invited both of you may approach you and say, "Give your place to this man." And then you would proceed with embarrassment to take the lowest place. Rather, when you are invited, go and take the lowest place, so that when the host comes to you, he may say, "My friend, move up to the higher position." Then you will enjoy the esteem of your companions at the table. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. Then he said to the host who invited him, "When you hold a lunch or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your wealthy neighbors, in case they may invite you back and you have repaid it. Rather, when you hold a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. Blessed indeed will you be because of their inability to repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My sisters and brothers, and you notice that in the Gospel, Jesus used many parables or images that relate to our daily life to teach us a lesson or teach us something meaningful or spiritual. For example, when we talk about the harvest, he said, "The harvest is abundant, but the labor are few. Let us ask the master of the harvest to send more laborers." Or when he talked about the vineyard, he said, he used the image of the vineyard. He said, "I am the tree, and you are branches. Whoever remains in me will never die, but bear fruits. Whoever does not remain in me will die." Or Jesus told Peter about his vocation. He said, "Peter, you will become the fisher of men, not only fishing fish." Or about the image of the sheep, when Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they listen to me." Or the image of the farmer or the sower, when the sower or the farmer go to sow the seeds. If he sow the seeds in the good soil, it will bear fruits. And you see, even the daily activities or daily encounter or daily images, very close to our daily life, but we could use it to relate to the spiritual life. What about now in our time, our modern time? What could we use to relate to our spirituality? I would say, let us talk about our phone, our cell phone. We use our phone to connect with others, with our families, with friends, with other people around the world. And the question would be, what could we use to connect with God? Or really, how much time we spend on the phone, and how much time we spend to pray? Or another image, which is the mask. The mask protects us from being infected and also prevent us to spread the virus out. So what could protect us from things, or what could prevent us from committing sins? Is it a rosary? Is it a passage of the gospel? Or is it a close relationship with God? You need to answer that for yourself. And in that manner, in the gospel today, Jesus take the opportunity of being invited to the banquet, and he teach them a lesson, and also teach us a lesson. The first lesson is humility. When he saw people sitting by their rank, by their social class, social level, but he asked them to lower the position so that you will be invited to the higher position. At this point, you will enjoy your honor. Humility, Jesus asks us to lower ourselves, lower our ego a little bit, so that we will be upgraded. Like what we often said, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Or the last will be first, and the first will be last. The second lesson would be the equality. Jesus would like the host of the party to invite more people, not only his families, his relatives, his friends, his wealthy people, but to invite the others as well, the poor, the unfortunate, the sick, the crippled, the lame, the blind, even the stranger. Jesus did not go to that radical, but he wants us to open our hearts, to open our arms, to embrace more people, and to make everybody the same value, the rich the same as the poor, the healthy the same as the sick, to equalize the dignity that God has given in every human being. But to equalize the dignity among ourselves, to have that virtue, we need to go back again to the virtue of humility. I will tell you a story of a king. A king came to a master, giving thanks for teaching him for a long time, and the king told him that, "Dear master, I want to repay you whatever you ask. Just tell me whatever you ask. Either gold, silver, palace, land, I will give you." The master, thinking for a while, and said, "No, I don't need anything. I think my life is good enough. I'm satisfied with my life, and I'm proud to have you as my disciple." But the king insisted that, "No, you need to ask me something. And the master said, okay, now I will give you the least among the least tasks. He asked the master, he asked the king, please come and use the fan. Yes, that fan. Use the fan to chase the flies for me. The flies keep coming to me, so you use the fan to chase the flies for me. And the king was shocked. He said, why did you not ask for other things? This one just simple. And the king accepted to do that. But after doing that for a while, his heart is stirring. He realized that why a king is doing this for ordinary people, and all the servants over there look at me. They look at me. How do they think about me? The king tried to hold his heart, but finally he uttered it out. He said, Master, why did you do that to me? You know that I am a king, I cannot do this. And the master said, you know, my dear disciple, you know, my king, this is the least among the least tasks that you cannot do. Actually, I don't want you to do it for me. I can do it by myself. I don't want you to find it or to chase the flies. But the only thing I want is your humility. If a king humble himself to serve the people, the kingdom will be prosperous. The king realized the lesson the master has taught, and the master said, this is my last lesson for you. Go and manage the kingdom. The king left the place happy. You know what, sisters and brothers? We have also a king in heaven. The king who is God. At the level of God, he humbled himself to the level of human being and died for us for no reason. And he wants us to make his kingdom prosperous again. The kingdom of Christianity. The kingdom of those who believe in the values of Christians. Many of you who are working in the field of services, many of us are domestic Catholics. We are working in the service. So, I think you have deeper sense of humility. If you're not humble enough, maybe you'll be in trouble. But I believe if we humble enough, we have the virtue of humility, the other virtues will come. The virtues of perseverance, the virtue of faith, hope. In the first reading said that the more you humble, the greater you are, and you will find favor with God and in His kingdom.